So you, speaking of papers to look through, you wanted to take a little look this week on more of the documents that were released.
All right. So we have a little part of Virginia Roberts' lawsuit against Ghislaine Maxwell that has finally been unsealed. Ghislaine and Epstein and Dershowitz and Mike Cernovich were making sure that this wasn't they were trying to make sure this would not be released, but it has been. And so we have some pretty spicy parts of the deposition. So this is from Ronaldo Rizzo, which is a great name for a houseman, who's the house manager for one of defendant's close friends, Eva Dubin. Mr. Rizzo testified. And by the way, Eva and Glenn Dubin are like a finance power couple. Glenn Dubin is a huge donor to Democrats, which you will find quite a lot in these stories. And, of course, close friends like every other rich motherfucker in the world with Jeffrey Epstein. So, again, Ronaldo Rizzo was the house manager for one of the defendant's close friends. But when I say defendant right here, I mean Ghislaine Maxwell. Mr. Rizzo testified through tears how, while working at Dubin's house, he observed defendant bring a 15-year-old Swedish girl to Dubin's house. In distress, the 15-year-old girl tearfully explained to him that defendant tried to force her to have sex with Epstein through tears and stealing her passport.
Through threats and stealing her passport.
Excuse me, through threats and stealing her passport. So I shall play the brave interrogator, and you shall play Mr. Rizzo. Or we can switch the roles.
No, Rizzo.
You want to be Rizzo?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Lizzo. Ronaldo
No, that's
Lizzo.
like that weird, that like famous girl. Not like that.
You're a famous girl now.
Okay.
So, how old was the girl?
15 years old.
Describe for me what the girl looked like, including her demeanor, and anything else you remember about her when she walks into the kitchen.
Very attractive, beautiful young girl. Makeup, very put together, casual dress. But she seemed to be upset, maybe distraught, and she was shaking. And as she sat down and sat in the stool exactly the way the girls that I mentioned to you sat at Jeffrey's house, with no expression and with their head down. But we could tell that she was very nervous.
What do you mean by distraught and shaking? What do you mean by that?
Shaking. I mean, literally quivering.
What did she say?
She proceeds to tell my wife and I that, and this is blurting out, not a conversation like I'm having a casual conversation, that quickly I was on an island. I was on the island, and there was Ghislaine, there was Sarah, and she said, they asked me for sex. I said no, and she's just rambling. And I'm like, what? And she tried. I asked her, I said, what? And she says, yes, I was on the island. I don't know how I got from the island to here. Oh my God, this is so crazy, Brace.
Yeah, this is like disgusting.
I mean, I like don't even like reading this out loud.
Do you want me to finish?
No, I'll do it. It's just, I just want like,
I want to kill Jeffrey Epstein. This testimony right here, like it's difficult to make like even a joke around this because it's so like appalling and just goes to show like this wasn't just like this has been presented a lot like Jeffrey Epstein was just bringing, paying 14-year-old girls from Palm Beach to come over and fuck him. That is not.
I mean, this girl is like, just the little details really get me, like the shaking, keeping her head down like all the other girls at Jeffrey's house. Like that's a freaking rule then that he has for these girls that he calls slaves. Yeah,
and blurting out, like they weren't having a conversation. She just like comes out with this. Like, and you can picture this scene pretty well, right?
Yeah, that's what's really upsetting me. Okay, I'll do it. We'll go back to it. Last afternoon, or in the afternoon, I was on the island, and now I'm here. And I said, do you have this? This is not making sense to me. And I said, this is nuts. Do you have a passport? Do you have a phone? And she says, no. And she says, Ghislaine took my passport. And I said, what? And she says, Sarah took her passport and her phone and gave it to Ghislaine Maxwell. And at that point, she said that she was threatened. And I said, threatened? And she says, yes, I was threatened by Ghislaine not to discuss this. And I'm just shocked. So the conversation, and she's just rambling on and on again. Like I said, how she got here. She doesn't know how she got here. Again, I asked her, do you contact your parents? And she says, no. At that point, she says, I'm not supposed to talk about this. I said, how did you get here? I don't understand. We were totally lost for words. And she said that before she got there, she was threatened again by Jeffrey and Ghislaine not to talk about what I had mentioned earlier. About, again, the word she used was sex.
And during this time that you're saying she's rambling, is her demeanor continues to be what you describe it?
Yes.
Was she in fear?
Yes.
You could tell?
Yes. She was shaking uncontrollably.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so, I think just to get like a little serious for a second, even though I don't really want to do that, we all like to joke around and sometimes like the easiest way to kind of process these like just fucking abject horror of everything that surrounds this entire Jeffrey Epstein universe.
Yeah.
Is like through humor and making jokes, and we're happy to all do that here. I think we're pretty good at it.
Yeah.
But then you start reading stuff like this and it's just like a little too real. Like it's just very upsetting. I don't really know what to say.
What it makes me is, I think that what it makes most people is both, of course, like appalled and angry as well.
Yeah.
Because Epstein, like, and all these people, his whole circle of accomplices and cronies and shit like that, they are like, I couldn't for a second if I threatened some 15-year-old girl to let them be raped by a billionaire financier.
No one is let raped, Grace.
No, well, I wouldn't facilitate that. It wouldn't facilitate that. I wouldn't, like, if I was like one of his assistants,
yeah.
I don't know like how these people could do that. And even his pilot who says, like I said before, like, oh, I didn't know what was going on, any of this stuff. It's like these people knew what was going on. His friends knew what was going on.
I think everyone knew, of course. How could they not? I don't understand, she says that she doesn't know how she was on the island.
Yeah.
And now she's in New York City. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't know how she got there.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you were drugged and put on a plane.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. And
a plane that presidents have been on.
Yes. But if she doesn't know if she doesn't remember the plane, yeah, you were drugged and knocked out. And so that's obviously not the first time that this has happened.
But the thing is, like what Mr. Rizzo says here, like all the girls at Jeffrey's house. If I was working for another rich person and I went to their friend's house and I saw all of these girls like that.
Sitting
how did none of these
on
people,
the chair with their head down.
Yeah. How did none of these people think like, oh, well, I'm going to either kill this man or call the police?
Because they look out for each other.
Exactly. It's in their all the people who assisted him in this are fucking capos. And like and all the people in his circle are like even this couple right here. Especially this couple, they're fucking financiers. But all the people who were ever associated with Jeffrey Epstein, they will all wriggle out of it unless we get them.
I think that's like a really important takeaway here is that, these people that are like, I'm so horrified by this thing. And I don't know how you can't be horrified. I'm horrified just reading it off of my phone.
Yeah.
Like, I feel physically ill right now. But like you say, they're all trying to wriggle out of it. Well, either I didn't know any of this was going on.
Or I assumed that, they were just friends or models or something like that.
It's like, no. I think this is something we pointed out when we were talking to Molly and Johnny on the Patreon episode, is like Hollywood is run the exact same way.
Exactly.
Every large-scale capital industry is run like this.
Yeah.
And it's a really...
On the blood of young girls.
You're joking, but not...
I'm not joking.
No, it's true. It's literally true. And it's just really depraved and sick, and they're all out to help each other.
And the thing is, like, none of these people will ever really be brought to justice in a way that like is satisfactory to the moral mind, right?
Right.
Like maybe
how like.
Well, I've got a couple ideas of how to fix it.
Well, no, my question is, and this is a really like tough realization. Like, how many girls do you think
Thousands. At least tens of thousands.
Right?
I mean, there's 25 million people who are in slavery in the world right now. That includes sexual slavery and physical slavery. But I'm not sure that statistic counts people like this, right?
No, I don't think it does.
And I guarantee, like, the trafficking numbers we see from the government, which is, I mean, remember that the U.S. government traffics in fucking people. Like, Epstein was, I mean, closer to the CIA than anybody else I've ever met in my life. I've never met Jeffrey Epstein, but you know what I mean? Like, it's in closer to other intelligence agencies. They knew what was going on. So the people that run the United States government knew this was going on.
Of course they knew.
And fucking, and not only knew, assisted, I'm sure.